Happy Monday, December the 4th. Woo, the countdown is on for the big day. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, streaming live right now on E360 TV, also our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host, and also on our Facebook page, Self-Worth, the Missing Link Superstars. No visitors today, just myself. And I always do this kind of a show at least once a year prior to Christmas. And looking forward to sharing some tips and ideas about how to bring the stress down. Christmas can be a very emotional time, not just in a bad way, but also in good ways, because it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our childhood and what was Christmas like for us. And was it always the best? Maybe not. Also, too, when people pass or there's a tragedy in the family, it always seems worse this time of the year. And I'm not really sure. I can't explain that, but it just is, and it makes it harder. We've had those times in my family, and I'm sure you have too. So today, I came up with some ideas, and I asked some friends for some ideas about what they're doing to make sure that we have a good Christmas. And I know that it becomes extremely difficult to not to compete. So when the stores hardly have the Halloween stuff out the door, then Christmas is like in the next shelf or the next aisle. So I always had this tradition myself that I didn't do anything for Christmas until after November the 11th, because November the 11th is Remembrance Day here in Canada, Veterans Day in the United States. And since my dad was a World War II veteran, I always honored that. So I tend not to do anything until November the 11th, even though the stores are screaming at you, buy this, get this, add this. And I just made a rule for myself. And so that helps me to not get too rambunctious too soon. But I love to have my tree up first and foremost. So just putting the tree up around the 1st of December, because I enjoy it on the front end. As soon as Christmas is over, I want to bring it down. I do manage to hang in there till New Year's, but at the same time, getting the tree up and having lights on at night is soothing and peaceful. So I recommend that if nothing else, and even if it's for years, we just had this little wooden tree with mini lights on it, and all we do was bring it in out of the garage and plug it in, and there it was. And it makes for a nice decoration out through the window. So just some little thing. And this year, I happened to be in California in November for a couple of weeks and a bit. And a lot of people had their lights up already. And we made the comment, my girlfriends and I, that maybe it's because the world since COVID, has been a kind of a dark place and a sad place. And now there's war, and it just seems to be one thing after the other. So I encourage that, putting our lights up and bringing some light into the world to support that darkness that seems to be around us at all times. And as I said earlier, Christmas can be a very emotional time. So growing up for me, my dad loved Christmas. Even though it was difficult for him, he wanted to make sure that we had a good Christmas. And so he would share stories from his childhood and traditions. And of course, having been brought up through the Great Depression, things were different. And they didn't get all the gifts and toys and bells and whistles that we received. But I remember my dad telling us that for a year, his mom would save all the tinfoil from the pounds of tea that they drank, because it was loose tea. And they'd take the tinfoil and then they'd cut up egg cartons and line. And we used to do this in school for craft, make ornaments. But she used to put a few raisins in that and hang it on the tree. And that was like a big treat, or to get an orange was a big treat. That was their Christmas. There was a dinner, but that would be about it. So Dad was always very insistent that we have presents and that we had gifts from Santa. And a nice tradition that my dad had was all of our gifts from Santa were wrapped in brown paper. And Santa used to write little notes on that, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And we always knew those plain brown paper wrapped gifts were special. So it's those things that Christmas bring to my mind, those memories, those childhood memories. And I just recently shared with a good friend of mine that I have been searching diligently for a Christmas coloring book. Now, I don't enjoy the adult coloring books. I find them too stressful. You have to be the lines are fine, the pictures are tiny and detailed. I want pictures of poinsettias and bells, and I found some. This morning I found you just go online and Google free Christmas coloring pages. And there's tons. You can just print them off. And whoever would have thought of that? And my girlfriend told me, Google it and see what you come up with. Because one of the things I've always enjoyed, and I do it actually when I do get stressed over much, is color. And I have crayons. I should have shares in that company. I buy them every chance I get because I like them when they're new and they have the sharp points on them and then they can color. So that became a tradition. We always received coloring book and a fresh box of crayons. And that was how we entertained ourselves while we were waiting for that special day. And my mom would put on some Christmas music in the background, and we listened to people like Bing Crosby and Perry Como, and our young people wouldn't even know who they are. But if you didn't have a Bing Crosby Christmas album vinyl in your home, if that's all you had, that's what you had. So, in thinking about the past, we carry a lot of our traditions forward. And the thing that changed that for me was when we had a couple of tragedies in our family right around Christmas time, 39 years ago to be exact. And that changed everything for me with regards to tradition. All of a sudden, what we normally didn't seem important or it wasn't appropriate. And so I believe we all kind of went our little separate ways and created our own traditions. And that's not a bad thing, because when you do the same thing over and over and over, then when that person is gone or that person is no longer in our life, it makes it difficult for us to change anything. So every year I try to do something different that I didn't do last year or the year before or the year before that. Sometimes I'd have a tree, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I cooked and sometimes I didn't. I had a bag of mixed tricks, if you will, and nothing ever really stayed too consistent for me. And then when I married my husband, Ron, he had children, so Christmas was a big deal until the children were grown up. And then he said to me, well, I don't have to do this anymore. So we did Christmas his way one year, and it would be very simplistic, plugging in that lit tree and making dinner. And then we'd do Christmas my way, and I'd have to go all out, and everything would be decorated, and I cooked. But now we've met in the middle, I think, because when two people come together as a couple, he brings his traditions and she brings hers, and then you create your own, and you've got a kind of a mixed bag of tricks anyway. So the goal, I believe, should be just to have a beautiful time with your family, with your friends. Maybe you don't have any family, so your friends become your family. In my world, my clients become my family. They're my friends. So we need to be open to change. And if COVID didn't teach us anything else, it was that, was it not? The change happens whether we plan it or not. And we need to be prepared. So Christmas during COVID was pretty bleak, wasn't it? We couldn't have family over. We couldn't go see people. It was terrible, really terrible. And I think I would be safe in saying that some people are still there. They haven't come out of COVID yet. That's a shame. That's a sad thing. And as I said earlier, Christmas can be extremely emotional, good, bad, and ugly. So, depending on how you've handled your past or what you want to do this year, I remember years that I went away for Christmas because I didn't want to be part of anything. So I just leave and go somewhere nice and warm. Another way to keep the stress down is to give yourself permission to reduce expectations. What does this person want us to do? What does that person want us to do? What are we expected to provide for gifts? What are we expected to cook? I mean, it just falls into all, again, those traditions. So changing those expectations can be fun. And what I normally do now is I plan what is best for us. And then everything else that comes our way is a bonus. So this year, I have decided I'm cooking Christmas dinner for my husband and I and a couple of really close friends. That's it. Anything that I get invited to outside of that, I'm open. But part of it was I would used to years ago would wait and see where we were going to be invited and then make my plan. But I've reversed that now. I make our plan and then I roll with, hey, come for coffee, come have a drink, come have lunch, whatever. And I will make myself available because I found it really stressful wondering whether or not I'd be invited somewhere and then end up not being invited and then no plan. And I'd be rushing around at the last minute trying to find a turkey or a chicken or something to cook. So I just gave that all up. From now on, that's how I do it. So reducing those expectations. And then as seniors, those of us who are seniors, not getting all caught up in thinking that we have to buy a bunch of things or receive a bunch of stuff. Because really, as seniors, if there's anything we need, we usually just go get it. And it doesn't really matter what time of the year it is. And personally, I'd rather get a card with a nice note in it, remembering you at this time. I'm doing my cards right now because I have quite a few I need to go stateside. So I better get them out today or tomorrow. So they'll be there before the holiday. So that's another thing that helps reduce the stress, planning ahead and not leaving everything to the last minute to do it. And that's really stressful. And I always feel sorry for our men who think that they can get their Christmas shopping done December 24th. How crazy is that? And I have a story about that. And if I have time, I'll share it because it came from years ago. So reducing those expectations, start early, do a little bit every day. On the weekend, I'm going to make my cookies. Always make shortbreads and gingerbreads, 2 old family recipes. I usually put them up on Facebook too with the recipe itself. Because I don't know about you, but where I come from, the East Coast, back in the day in Nova Scotia, we had family members who didn't want to share their recipes. So here were these great recipes, but we never got to get them because they were not shareable. They were that specific auntie's cookies, and nobody else would have them because she was not going to share the recipe. Well, I'm grateful to say that I do use my mom's shortbread recipe. It's to die for. If anybody wants it, just let me know. And my auntie, Sadie, who was my dad's auntie, actually, she has a ginger snap recipe, and I make those ginger snaps. So if there's anything you want there, just let me know. You can text me or call me, and there's 2 beautiful recipes that are available for Christmas. So it's about sharing. You say sharing. A lot of people don't know how to share. That's another issue. So reducing expectations, not of only just other people, but on myself in particular, and not putting myself under the gun or thinking that something isn't good enough. And that was always me when I was an avid shopper and Christmas shopper. I get a really nice gift for, let's say, a sister, and then I'd see something else and I go, oh, it's only a few dollars. I'll get that too. And then I'm out again and I see something different. Have you ever done that? I see something else. I go, oh, she'd really love that. So it got to be so I was buying 2 or 3 presents for everybody. And I've given that up too. That doesn't happen. And on the subject of gifts, when Jesus was born, according to the Christmas story, he did get gifts. Those 3 wise men came from the east and gave gifts. So perhaps that's where the gift giving came from. I have no idea, but it started somewhere. And since he is the reason for the season, I'm thinking maybe right there, Christmas was a time when we gave gifts. I don't know where that all originated. So for a couple of years, I shopped from home. I thought, I have so many beautiful things that I don't use or are in a cupboard or a closet. And so for a couple of years, I found things that I thought the family members would love to have. And I'm still alive to give it away. So I started giving things away that I knew meant something to other family members. So whether it was some vinyl records or a book or maybe a special dish, and I could actually still do that. I believe we all can do that. We could go through our homes and find beautiful things to give to people that would actually mean more than anything they'd buy in a store. So, of course, as a senior, and I'm recommending that to all my seniors out there, instead of going out and spending money that we don't really have on our kids or our grandkids, let's just check out what we have that we could wrap up and recycle that we know they would love to have. So, shop at home. I've done that a few times. I might do that again this year for a little bit of it because I moved my office and I've got a lot of things that I forgot I had locked away. So that's on the shopping and not going into debt to to give gifts because then we have to face that debt in the new year on the other side of the fence and it's not fun. And I think that's important. Very important. That's what we call bad debt. I learned that the other day, the difference between bad debt and good debt, yeah, in my finance training. So, um, another thing that the decluttering goes along with that recycling gifts. So, this is always a good time for me to get organized for the new year. So, I'm always in December looking at ways to get rid of things that I no longer need or use. And it's kind of how I get to have a fresh start to the new year. So that's another thing that I do at this time of the year is declutter. I just cleaned off my shelving unit behind me and I got rid of some stuff there and redid it. And I love it again. All right. Well, we all know that Christmas is a year away. Christmas is coming next year, whether we want to believe that or not. It's here again. So another thing I've done is all year long save $5 bills or save $2 bills or our toonie, save your change and build up a little fund, cash fund where you have access to when Christmas rolls around next year. And you can use it to start buying whether you need a new tree or I replaced my wreath this year. My neighbor had a beautiful yard sale last summer and there was this gorgeous wreath still in the box that I paid $25 for and it's on my front door and it's beautiful. So you always want to have a little money on the side to do those kinds of things. And I haven't always had that, but it's something that I work at still to this day. I don't know about you, but I love to cook, and my kitchen is my happy place. So I cook dinner every day. My husband looks after himself for breakfast and lunch, and then I cook us a nice dinner every day. So I'm always looking for ideas to do something different for Christmas dinner. At least try one new thing instead of your traditional everything. And I have a nice story about that. I had a friend, he passed away a few years now, but we had them, and we had 22 people about 10 years ago for Christmas dinner. And of course, in Alberta, where I live in the West, on the East Coast, people cook their turkeys in a traditional kind of way in the oven, in a roaster with dressing. But he said to me, I'm coming for dinner, but I'm going to bring my own turkey and I'm going to deep fry it. Deep fry it? I'd never heard of such a thing. I talked to my mom. I said, Mom, did you ever hear of anybody deep frying a turkey? She said, No. Anyway, it's a special little gizmo, and you put your turkey in. It takes about 20 minutes or a half an hour. So we made a deal. He said, You cook your turkey the way you always do. I'm going to bring my fryer. We're going to deep fry one. And he said, Here's the deal. If my turkey is gone first, you owe me a nice bottle of vodka because that's what he enjoyed drinking. And if your turkey gets eaten up first, I'll buy you a couple of bottles of wine, which I enjoy drinking. Okay, the bake off was on. This was a cook off. And sure enough, 2 days after Christmas, I was heading to the liquor store to buy a bottle of vodka. I had never eaten turkey that tasted like that. It was beautiful. So, part of what I have fun doing is finding different ways to cook Christmas food or try a new recipe. I have my traditionals, but adding something new and different creates for some curiosity, and it's a lot of fun. And that helps to bring the stress down because when you're in your happy place, stress can't find you. Now, maybe you don't like cooking. Okay, maybe you don't like to cook. Try it before you say that. And maybe you'll try it and you still won't like it. And that's okay because there's usually enough good food around that we can either purchase already made, you can have Christmas dinner catered, you can go to a nice hotel and have your Christmas dinner. So there's lots of ways to enjoy the Christmas food. It doesn't have to always be the same old way. And that can be fun and add fun to the mix. Um, Something else that strikes me and I think not strikes me, touches my heartstrings about Christmas is Christmas music. So when I know the store people who work in retail must get sick and tired of it because they start playing it very early and they have to listen to it all day long. But for me, when I put on the Christmas music, it triggers those childhood memories of days gone by. And one memory I have that's not a childhood memory, actually, it's an adult memory. My first husband and I were visiting my family as we did every year. We went there for Christmas Eve every year. And my dad had decided he wanted to go out to visit his two aunties who lived by themselves with each other. And that's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? They lived by themselves with each other. Okay, they were together. And he had gone to a local hardware store and he had purchased for himself a plastic Santa suit. Okay, he's going to put it on and we're going to drive out. So my dad and mom and two of my siblings were in the vehicle ahead of us. And here's my dad driving with this Santa hat on and this Santa suit, and he's smoking a pipe. He smoked a pipe back then. Oh my gosh. Here he is with the pipe and the smoke coming up. We could see this from our vehicle. We were directly behind him, and we could see this. Here's my dad in this plastic Santa suit with the pipe smoke swirling all around. I was thinking about him catching on fire. So we get to his auntie's doors, and he said, "Okay, you guys all stay in the vehicles because I'm going to go to the door first," which he did. He knocked on the door. They opened the door, and we saw them. We could see them from where we were sitting. And honestly, I was sure they had both had heart attacks. They laughed and they giggled and they were just so excited that he had done that. And I mean, that's not such a big deal, but to them it was a big deal. And so sometimes it's the little things that make the big difference. It's not the big stuff, it's the little stuff, the thoughtfulness. Another time we invited Ron's mom. These people have all passed since. His mom, his uncle, who was probably 100 at the time, and his auntie, and they came to spend Christmas with us. And we didn't have a very big place at the time, but we got all crowded in. The girls all slept in the room together, the three girls. And we put Ron's uncle up in my office on a cot. And honestly, it was like having 4 children for Christmas. It was the most fun. And we got dinner all together. And what did the famous cook here do? Forgot to put the dressing on the table. It sat on the counter the whole time. We had a big laugh about that. And then there was a snowstorm. And they had to stay for an extra day, which was a real blessing for us. And one of his aunties at the time had a bit of dementia. And there was more than one gift under the tree from her. She'd forgotten that she'd put one there and then put another one there. And so making memories. What are you doing to make the memories? Not just the stuff and the dinner and the cooking and the parties. What are you doing to make memories like that? So I have a lot of beautiful Christmas memories because of how my family put it together. Was it always terrific? No. One Christmas, my dad was away up north working, and we didn't know if he was going to get home or not. And that was scary. That was very scary. And then on December the 6th in 1984, my little niece, Erin Margaret Anthony, was killed by her school bus, ran her over. Like, when we think about that, and we lost her on the 6th of December, God bless her. That created a lot of havoc in my family, a very hard emotional time. And not a 6th of December goes by that we don't reflect on that situation. For sure, for sure. So, memories. The good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones, they're all part of who we are. So it's okay to have those. And it's okay to have a good cry. I always have a big cry on the 6th of December. I know for a fact that we need to remember those that are left around us and to create happy memories for them. So that's what we need to do. Connect, hug. And I just invited my neighbors over for a meal. And we've lived next door to each other for 2.5 years. We talk outside, we exchange greetings, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? I have never had them over. Like, really? But I went away when I went to California. Guess who was on the front step with some treats for Ron, my neighbors next door? So it's about connecting. It's about loving. It's about sharing. It's about caring. Something else that helps, I believe, is when we decide we're going to do something extremely charitable and generous. Now, one of my clients in California, she donates to a charity called the Samaritan's Purse. And she informed me this morning she has 66 shoe boxes ready to go to a distribution center in California. And those boxes go out all over the world. And in the box are toiletries, little toys, things that, you know, will make somebody's day. And I had heard of a project. I love this one. So, any of you out there who have old purses in your closet, just collecting dust, fill the purse up with toothpaste, feminine products, a bar of soap, a face cloth, some hand sanitizer, whatever. It's cheap for us to get that stuff. And fill the purse and then hand it off to a homeless woman who's out there on the streets. And Merry Christmas to her. I love that idea. I think I'm going to start collecting old purses. I just had that thought. Maybe there's a food bank in your town or a place where the homeless get a Christmas dinner. Nothing more heartwarming than dishing up the food and donating that out there. So when we give of ourselves that way, it satisfies that need that we have to give. So we think we need to give presents. Yes, presents are fun. Don't get me wrong. I love getting presents. But it doesn't have to be in that form. It can be in another form that we give. So giving of our time, which is really precious as we get older, but making the world a better place because of our time that we have generously given away. And I already mentioned inviting some friends. And we're not really into big crowds much anymore, but we're going to be into a big crowd because I'm having a big party this summer. I've decided. I'm turning 75. I'm having a party. So, but just generally through the week and so on, we like to have small groups now because then we get to really connect and talk and have meaningful conversations. So it might be that instead of trying to have a great big party, which takes a lot of planning, you have little parties. And, Tuesday night, you're going to have two girlfriends over from next door. And then Wednesday night, you're going to have maybe a happy hour with some of your friends who like to have a drink. And then the next day, you might have something for the children in your family and you make your cookies and whatever. You can have little parties back to back, and they're very fun. And that way you get to see everybody and enjoy their company. And that's why I'm going to have a very small Christmas dinner because, first of all, I have a very small dining room. And so that kind of limits me. But I don't allow that to limit me because I have other spaces and I have fold-up tables. So that's not an excuse, but it's just more about wanting that intimacy, that time together to chat and talk. Music plays a big part. Now, I am going to make a comment about Christmas movies, all right? And we'll have a little fun with this. I love the classic Christmas movies. And I'm not talking about Jimmy Stewart back in the 30s, although that's a great film. But I'm talking about Home Alone, The Cranks, Christmas Vacation. And I don't know, I'm not seeing those on the streaming channels. If anybody knows more about that, please let me know because I'm not finding them. But there are channels that have like strings of Christmas movies. And I don't like watching those ones where I shared this morning with some team members. I said, how about the classic Christmas movie now is big time lawyer in New York, female comes back to her little hometown to spend Christmas because she just broke up with her husband. And at the in town is the sheriff, and he was her high school prom date, and he's never left town. And then they hook up. This is like the classic theme. I get really bored with that. Where's the plot? Where's the plot? So I'm not a big Christmas romantic comedy person, but I love the classics. And that's a great evening, at least one evening where you watch a classic Christmas movie and have some good laughs and make some popcorn. And just another thing I really enjoy, and we only can get it at this time of the year, is that cranberry ginger ale. And I bought a couple of cases of it when I saw it because it's only at Christmas that I see it, and then it's gone for the year. And have some popcorn and some cranberry ginger ale and have a few laughs and make memories. Christmas is about making memories. That's it. It's not about what you got. If I look back, can I name all the presents that I got at Christmas? No. One or two highlighted things. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the most memorable Christmas gift I received? And I said, well, actually, it was a pair of slippers that one of my dad's sisters gave all the girls in the family. And we were just little then. I was probably about 10. These little red see-through slippers, and they had silver and gold threads in them and a little bow on the top. They were like that slip-on with an elastic around the top of it. And I love those. I think it reminded me of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I had my own pair of ruby slippers. I believe that's why I connected to that. But it wasn't anything big. It was always just the memories. And when the memories come back, flooding back, it's never about what I got. It's about what we did. We'd always go cut a Christmas tree. That's why I love that movie, Christmas Vacation, because when they head out to cut that tree, I'm reliving my whole memory of Dad taking us out to cut a tree. And it was never the most perfect tree in the forest. It was never the most beautiful trimmed. But it was a live tree that we cut and put in a pot of water, and the smell through the house was amazing. And of course, visiting friends, like I talked about my dad going to see his aunties, and we'd go visit I remember my first husband and I did this for 14 consecutive years. We'd get up Christmas Day, Christmas Eve day, the 24th, we would go to my parents. We had Christmas Eve there. The next morning, we got up and opened our gifts and had breakfast. Mom always had a nice big country breakfast. And then by noon, we were in the vehicle heading a 2.5 to 3 hour drive to be with his mom for Christmas dinner. And we did that every year for 14 years. And I am so happy we did that. At the time, we were young. We were in our 20s. We were going, oh my gosh, we have to go. Oh, gee. And then, of course, while visiting my parents or visiting his mom, then thrown in there were my grandparents because they were still alive, and our aunties and our uncles and our cousins, and we were always on the road. But if I had it to do all over again, I would do exactly the same thing. But at the time, I remember resenting it and not, I guess, being kind of wishing, we were young. We wanted to go party and do our own thing. So connection, 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 connection. I'm hoping that some of these tips are helping to trigger for you some ways that you can bring the stress down. And it's not all about the shopping. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the stuff. And I have a feeling, I could be wrong. I have a feeling that that might be the way people are heading because during COVID, of course, economically and financially, we just didn't have the means maybe to do what we normally did. But then there's a pattern in that because if we are deprived of something and then it becomes available. So let's take money for example. Let's say we didn't have a whole lot of money or we lost our job during COVID. Now that COVID's over and I have my job back, now I might be inclined to overspend to make up for lost time. So watch that little culprit because now, if you have your family sort of conditioned to being downsized and it's more about memories and all of that, keep it there because that's what really matters at the end of the day. It's not about the money, it's about the value of our time that we spend with them. And maybe they don't want to be around you, and that's okay. I'm sure I've got those in my family, but you know what? It's okay. That's their decision, their choice. So for me, the next few days, I work usually right up until the 14th of December, and then I take a break, and then I'll be back in the new year. And those are just some ideas around getting the holiday season to be what it should be, and that is just fun and relaxation and friends and creating memories and reaching out to those less fortunate and just make it a really nice time. We're in charge of that, you know. We get to pick. We get to choose what we're going to do. And that's about letting go of the expectations. And that's hard. It's really hard because letting go of the expectations means what's the bottom line there? It means I'll be judged. I might be judged. And we don't like to be judged. It's very hurtful. It's really hurtful. Um, I send out Christmas cards every second year. So this year I'm busy. I've got my cards all laid out on my table. And what I did a couple of years ago when I sent cards, it might be three maybe now, but when I send my big bulk cards, I had gone through all of my photographs, you know, those snaps that we used to take and get, what did you call it? The word escapes me right now, but when we would get them, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, printed off or developed. Yes, when we got our films developed. So I had boxes and boxes of photographs, a lot of them of family members when they were children and my aunties and uncles who've passed away and that sort of thing. So in everybody's Christmas card, I put a couple of snaps, a couple of pictures. And so let's say I sent my cousin a card, and in the card might be a picture of her when she was 8 or 10 or and having been the oldest in the family and the oldest grandchild, I remember when everybody came along. So, and I also had a photo bug in me. So I was always taking pictures of everything. And that was really well received. I had lots of nice comments come back to me about that. It was so great to get that wedding picture you took of us, or that picture of us on the lobster bake, or whatever it was. It was just amazing. So that's how I got rid of a lot of my photos that I don't need or want anymore. And it meant a lot to the people that I sent them to because they were involved. So I'm doing cards this year. I'm not putting photos in them, but I found these really cool cards for my American friends, and I can't describe them because they haven't got them yet. And I don't want to blow the whistle, but trust me, the card they're getting is truly Canuck. It's truly Canadian, and they'll know when they look at it on the front that this card came from Canada, because this card would not come from any other country because of these cards I found last year, and I never used them. I saw them after Christmas, and I went, wow, I'm getting those cards right now because they'll be perfect to send next year, which is what I'm busy doing right now. And the other thing is to just start, if you love to shop and you want to shop, just start saving your change, your toonies, your loonies, because we all know Christmas is a year away. We all know it's coming, right? It's not like, it's a big surprise. Here it is again. Although I have to admit, I did say to Ron, wow, it's Christmas again already? Like, where did that year go? Where did 2023 go? And will be doing a show on why not to set New Year's resolutions, the reason they don't work, and why you shouldn't do it and set yourself up to be disappointed. Um, and that's pretty much all I had to say about Christmas, getting the stress down over the holiday. So I believe there are a few ideas in there that you might decide to do or pull from. And my bottom line message is just make memories and make good memories and allow people to help you make your memories as well. Tomorrow, our favorite show, by the way, the show that right now has the most viewers, is our financial show on Tuesdays. Ramin Modiri and I get together, and he always has something fun prepared for us to banter back and forth about in the area of finance. So we've done, mini skirts in the stock market. Last week we talked about the stock market. He's talked about the 15 best places to retire. There's lots of great information on that show. So we'll be back tomorrow with Ramin Modiri and talking about, I'm not sure what he's got planned, but we doesn't really matter. It all works. And he has some, he taught us also the biases we have around money, how we can have a bias that we don't even realize is there. Of course, because of the Great Depression in the 30s, a lot of those belief systems got passed down. And some of us are still saving that tinfoil from those boxes of tea bags when we don't really need to. And that's a good idea. Maybe I'll inject some of that tomorrow. And other than that, I would like to share, if you have a product, a program, a service that you would like to be interviewed about, please email me, The Laurie Davis Show. I answer all my own emails. So just bring that to my attention and we'll get you lined up as a guest for 2024. We love guests on our show. Also, I'm working diligently right now on this. The cover will be ready tonight. 100 Shades of Dysfunction. I can't wait to see the cover. And that's a project that I'm working on in December to get that out there. And I didn't have to go outside of my circles too far to come up with 100 dysfunctional behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs that people possess. And you'll actually be able to, in the book, read Webster's definition of that behavior, belief, or attitude. And then I did about a 500 excerpt about it. And then there'll be some reflection time at the back end of the chapter where you can have a look at where you are with that particular one. So that'll be a fun book because you can't change something until you know about it. How can you change something if you're not even aware that it's there? So it's kind of like taking things from the back burner and bringing it to the front burner, and you can go, whoa, that's me. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. And so I wrote little stories to go with each one, and I'm looking forward to it being out there in a very large way. So we're broadcasting now live right now on E360 TV, and I'm so grateful for our network and all that they do to support us. And they're amazing, and I can't say enough about them. And if this is something you'd like to do, is have your own show, then just contact them. They're always looking for show hosts. And another project, of course, is Ramin and I. We have a financial program, 100 Workshops in Finance. So if you want to grow your money that you have already, you want to make money that you don't have already, and you want to learn about money, then this is the place. And you can contact either he or I about that. So I'm sorry I got sidetracked there, but we're streaming live on E360 TV. Also, my YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host, and also on our Facebook page, Self-Worth, the Missing Link Superstars. So we're broadcasting there right now. And the one thing that we want to ask for support is to just share the show. Maybe you know somebody today that's all stressed out about Christmas. Well, they need to listen to the show and get some tips. And it doesn't cost anything. Like, this is totally no money involved here. So it's free. And our shows have a lot of content. They're rich in content, and I'm really proud of what it is that we deliver. So 2024, we have some big plans to get our show out there in a very large way. I believe we've done enough groundwork and we have enough episodes in the can that we can prove to any network that our show has tremendous value. So if you can help us with that by putting in a comment when you watch, maybe you go in after hours and watch the show and leave a comment, that all helps to do that. So we appreciate that. So, in the meantime, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And we're not off the air yet totally. We have a couple of more minutes. But also, just I'll go down the list of our ways to get the stress down. That's what the show was about today, is how to get the stress down over Christmas. And it's really important because when we're stressed, we don't make good decisions. And we suck the life out of other people when we're stressed. Truly, we do. So it's an emotional time. It's not a happy time for everybody. And for some people, it's the highlight of their year. I'm glad to say it's not the highlight of my year. Other exciting things that go on as well. Change it up, change it up, change some traditions, buy some new ornaments. Change it up. You don't have to do the same old thing, same old, same old. Maybe you don't want to have turkey for Christmas dinner. Barbecue some steaks. Do something different. Change it up. Reduce your expectations of yourself, most importantly, and the expectations of others. And don't have any, because that's just a setup for disappointment and hurt. And then whatever comes your way is a bonus or a gift. Shop at home. Declutter. Give away some treasures to people that would love to have them. I've had people say to me, when you die, I would like to have that. Well, they're not going to have to wait till I die. I'm going to give it to them now. Or if somebody says, oh, I love your earrings, I say, okay, you can have them. And I just give them there. That's a traditional way of doing things, of giving. Invite some friends over. Have little parties, little mini parties instead of a big party. Thinking you can't afford to have a big party or you don't have the space for a big party. Just decide that for 3 or 4 nights in a row, you're going to have little parties. And then you'll feel like you've done some entertaining, which is really nice. Donate to a charity, work for a charity, go work at the food bank, work in the soup kitchen, help deliver Christmas dinner to people, and support a charity. Declutter. Declutter. Get rid of the trash. The things that you don't need, that you don't ever touch, that you don't ever use. Change it up in the kitchen. Cook some fun things, cook some different things. I'm going to do a bit of that this year. Put your music on, watch your movies, start saving for next year. And that's the other thing I forgot to mention. I like to give gift cards now because the grandchildren are older and everybody has everything they need. But if we give a gift card, then they can go after Christmas and get some really good deals on that gift card and save some money. So gift cards are great. It's nice to have a $10 card to go to the coffee shop and somebody else has paid for my coffee. It doesn't have to be expensive. Movies, music, start saving. Do up a few little Christmas cards to seniors. They love that. They're used to getting them. I went from getting like 150 Christmas cards down to probably 6 or 7 because people don't do it anymore because they complain about the cost of postage. But that's the cheapest gift you can give somebody, is a card with a stamp on it. That's like so inexpensive, and the rewards are so tremendous for the people that receive them. Color, Christmas color, coloring books, bells, poinsettias, Santa Claus. I just ran one off. I'm going to color one this afternoon. And enjoy yourself. Just enjoy you. And don't think that you're the only one that has to do everything. Let other people do things for you too. So I'm Dr. Laurie Davis. You've been listening to me babbling on about how to have stress-free Christmas, holiday season, and take care of yourselves and your families and create memories. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be back with my good friend Ramin, and we'll be talking finance on Tuesday. So bye for now. Share the show and talk to you soon.